You're late, Asbel.
Sorry about that, Sophie. I couldn't get away. Come on, don't look at me like that. I'm not that late.
Look down. On the ground.
Look down? Oh!
Be careful. Don't step on them.
Oh, come on. You've got a ton of these. One little flower won't...
Don't!
Sorry.
Don't you dare crush even one of them.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. I'll be more careful. So, how's the Blossomgale coming along?
They're almost ready. The Sopharias have been glowing for a while now.
So it's time? You know, you really did a great job with this garden. There isn't a spare inch of dirt left.
I don't want to just plant here, Asbel. I want to plant in lots of places.
Oh, hey, hold on. At that rate, the world will be nothing but Sopharias.
I had this dream. It's kind of silly, but... I dreamt I was riding in a huge Blossomgale, and we went to a beautiful meadow where I fell asleep. But then, when I woke up, I was an adult. I wasn't a child anymore.
You woke up an adult?
I wonder if I'll ever grow up.
Yeah, I think you will. But hey, what do you guys think? Sopharias?
Sopharia's out here being like Asbel and Sharia when.
Oh, the Sopharias are... The lights are fading.
No way! Don't give up. Come on.
Hey, look! It's happening! How pretty.
Yeah, it sure is.
I wonder where they'll end up. What do you think, Asbel?
Who knows? Maybe they'll fly all across the world.
All across the world?
Man, what a game. Man. I know it's like, it's still an ending, because this is where the, oh, that's so loud. This is where the original Graces ended. So, you know. Oh, I love this game so much, dude. I really do. Back to talking about like a Graces sequel. In a way, like, this is a pretty satisfying ending. Of course, me having played Lineage and Legacies and knowing what happens, and other people who have played Lineage and Legacies and know what happens are like, oh, they wouldn't want the game to end here. But like, if Lineage and Legacies wasn't a concept, the game could end here, and then they can make a sequel. But like, honestly, I think Lineage and Legacies in and of itself is sort of like a sequel to Graces. It's just not like a full game, but it's like an epilogue sort of. So people being like, oh, would you want Graces to get a sequel? Don't get me wrong, if they did somehow make a Graces 2, I wouldn't be against the idea, but like, dude, that's so funny. Classic Seaside Cavern throwback. I wouldn't be against a Graces sequel, but like, honestly, Lineage and Legacies kind of serves a good purpose for Grace's sequel, because it's basically, I'm not going to go too much into it, but like it takes place after the ending of the game, like a certain amount of time. So yeah, like that's satisfying for me. And like, this is a good ending, but I honestly like the F arc ending more, but like this is still a pretty good ending. Asbel taking in Richard was really, really good. Or not Richard. Asbel taking in Richard. Asbel taking in Lambda was so good. That conversation they had, basically like being like, oh, I saw your past. I don't want, I'm not just gonna, you know, let you die. I'm gonna let you come inside me. He's like the host for Lambda. I had a long day. It's like 11:30 right now, so my commentary is a little meh, but you get what I'm trying to say. Asbel taking in Lambda was really good. Really nice ending for all the characters. It's just, I love this game. Now, I don't want to like review the game, but I should kind of pseudo review the game because this is an ending. Oh, my OTP, Huber and Pascal. I do want to at least like sort of talk about the game because we reached an ending, so I think I should talk a little bit. This is my favorite Tales game. Definitely. Like, I've always been pretty concrete about that, and replaying it has, like, solidified my opinion. Very close to Berseria. Graces and Berseria are pretty close. Like, this is my second favorite game of all time. Berseria is my fourth favorite game of all time, and they're number 1 and 2 respectively on Tales of. They're both so good. And I talked about this before, but I really like Graces. Graces does a really nice lighthearted tone, and Berseria does a nice dark tone. They're just so different. And it's a great, like, combination of favorite Tales games to have, because, like, they both do their themes really well. And they both have 2 of my favorite cast of characters in all of gaming, so there's that. But let's talk about Graces on its own. I love Graces. The story is... Oh, dude, the play. Imagine if you didn't see the side quest for the play. Like, they would still show this, I guess. Oh, that play was hilarious. Along with the beach scenes. Definitely the funniest moments of Graces. What was I gonna say? The story is fine. I know people crap on the story. I don't think the story's terrible. I don't think it's like amazing, but it's serviceable. It's fine. The story's fine. I think the war is interesting enough. The war with the Creus as a subplot, and like Richard and Lambda. It's the Lambda stuff is really good. The war, Strata, Fendel, Windor, the Creus, like it's a fine story for getting through the game, and the characters having something to do. I think the story is serviceable. I think it has some good moments. I like I like going to different the 3 different countries and seeing the problems of like, oh, how Strata's dealing with things, how Windor's dealing with things, how Fendel's dealing with things, and I love the way just the way they're structured is really neat. So I think the story's neat. People might not like the story all that much, but the cast is undeniably amazing. Like, anyone who comes to me is like, the story's not that good, I'd be like, all right, that's your opinion. I like the story, but you don't have to like the story. But anyone who comes to me and is like, oh, the characters suck, is just like, it's not gonna be, you're gonna be frowned upon. Because this cast of characters is phenomenal. I think they're all great. They are amazing. They have really nice, I have to be quiet, actually. I thought the credits were longer. I guess it balances out because the ending was so long.
Once there was a young boy who discovered a lost seed. He planted it in his yard, and he took care of it every day. Over time, the lost seed grew up and blossomed into a beautiful flower. What do you think happened to the seed after that? It turned into a bright, shining star that watched over everyone. This was its way of thanking the boy who had been so very kind to it. Which star was it? Well, it's the one we all know best. Our favorite star of all.
Oh, dude, I forgot they did that. They added Lambda's name to the tree. I love that. I forgot about that. It's so good. But yeah, the cast in this game is undeniably amazing. I love all of them. I'm not going to rank them now based on, I'm not going to rank them now because I want to wait for Lineage. They are also good. The characters are great. I love Asbel, Sophie, Malik, Hubert, Sharia, and who's the other one I missed? Pascal. They're all amazing. They have some of the best skits in this game. They have a really nice chemistry. The sort of family dynamic they got going on is really, really good, and just their story arcs are pretty solid too. Like they had some great moments through the story. I can't stop gushing about the cast. I love them. They are amazing. The gameplay is fun. Probably my favorite Tales of Combat. If not this, then Arise. Arise has amazing combat nowadays, but even with Arise having released, Graces is still up there for one of my favorites. So yeah, I did really like the combat in this game. It's really, really good. Music is phenomenal. Definitely one of my favorite Tales of soundtracks, and I'm trying to think what else I have to say. Honestly, the only negatives I have with the game, like, again, the story not being, like, that great. It does take a while to get going, I guess. I'm talking from a non-biased perspective, because people are just gonna be like, oh, you just like Tales of Graces. Dude, I can point out little things that, like, aren't ideal with this game. It does have a bit of a slow start, whether it's the childhood arc. The childhood arc is very necessary for the story that the game is trying to tell, but also it is really slow and boring, so I can understand someone being like, oh, this is boring. And even the main arc takes a while to get going, like when you're Asbel and when you meet up with Sharia and like you have to head back to Lawn. It takes a while to get going, so that's definitely a minor thing. But then I start to like the story. Like, again, if you don't like the story, fair. I like the story. I think the story is neat. It does its job well. It gets really interesting with Fodra. I think the Fodra bit is really, really good. And Lambda, and just... I like Lambda. I feel like I never really cared for Lambda before, but, like, seeing that, like, Lambda, they tried to make you feel for Lambda, like, seeing his backstory and, like, oh, like, why he was being taken in, why he wanted to take over Richard and everything. So seeing all that was really good. Like, I just have no words but about that. Other problems with the game, there's some gameplay gimmicks that I don't like. Item using takes so long in this game. Like, using an item, you're like just standing there for such a long time. Also, sometimes when you get damaged, you're not stunned, but you're like, there's like a secondary stun effect. It's like you're not necessarily in the stun status ailments, but you're not necessarily in the stun status ailment, but like you can't move for a while. So getting stun locked is easy, I guess, is a good way to word that. And again, most of the problems I have are from higher difficulties. Even on normal mode, you'll still have the item problem, and you'll still have some annoying bosses like Kurt and Emerald, who are bad bosses, Emerald especially. But mostly, you can probably avoid most of the annoyances if you play on like a standard difficulty. I played on Chaos mode because this is an NG Plus, and I wanted to replay the game, and I also want to like get all the titles, so I didn't want to NG Plus and breeze through the game, so I'm like, I might as well play Chaos mode if I'm doing NG Plus. I did NG Plus mostly to do like everything in Graces. But so most of the gameplay issues could probably be resolved if you played on normal or something, but there's some to still be aware of. Kurt and Emerald are still bad bosses, even on those difficulties. I'm trying to think. I don't want to just praise Graces because people are going to be like, oh, you just like Tales of Graces. There are no flaws with it. I really just can't think of anything. Like, it's mostly just the story, like, not being spectacular. That's like the only thing. Characters are like perfect in my mind. The skits are perfect in my mind. The gameplay is like close enough to perfect. The music is pretty good. There's like 2 tracks that I like are like weird loops for the soundtrack, but most of the rest of it is good. I'm trying to think. Story's good, but falls in the middle. No, I don't think it falls in the middle. I think it just has a while to get going. I think it's fine. I think, like, I'm trying to think. Probably after you, it's probably not until after Queen Slime. Like, when you go back to Launt and you see Hubert, and Hubert, like, kicks you out, and Asbel's on his own with Sophie, I feel like then onward it starts to pick up. I feel like the childhood arc all the way to, like, I guess the Seaside Cavern is a little bit on the slow side. Like, it's not necessarily, like, groundbreaking by that point, but I feel like it starts to pick up at that point, to be honest. I feel like the first, like, 6 to 8 hours are a little on the slow side, depending on how you play. For me, it was probably close to 8 hours, because I did, like, everything. Tried to watch every skit. Trying to think of any other, like, minor things I could say about the game that aren't great. In request are a neat concept, but they kind of if you're trying to do all of them, you don't have to do all the in requests, so this is entirely for completionists only. If you're trying to do all the in requests, it does kind of, we didn't do all the in requests, but it's gonna, I'll air my grievances with it in the post game. But the in request takes so long to respawn, so if you are trying to do all of them, it can kind of break the pace of the game. So yeah, that's also a thing. That's honestly all I have to say. Maybe as I play the post game and when I do Lineage, I'll think of more things. Off the top of my head, those are the minor things about Graces that like make it far from a perfect game. But I love it. It's my second favorite game of all time. Like, it is definitely a number 2 game for me. It was actually my number 1 for a while, but it is my number 2. I only like one more game than this, but you know, Graces is still very near and dear to my heart. It's also my favorite game in my favorite franchise, so it's got that going for it. Even if it's not my number 1, my favorite franchise is Tales of, and it's number 1 there, so it's at least got that going for it. Yeah, so Graces, amazing game. We're not done with it. We still have to do I'm probably gonna load the game really quick because my time's already uneven. I'll load the game just to like maybe get some cartas. We're not gonna do Zone Cage, but that's fine. We're probably just gonna load the game for like cartas and like anything else, like little things, because might as well make this a 5-hour stream. What am I trying to say? Oh, for content, we have to do the 3 Valkanus Krius dragons. There's 3 dragons. We're not gonna fight them today. We're not doing like anything big today, but we have to fight Vague. We have to fight the dragons. We have to do Zone Cage. Get the remaining magic cartas, do the remaining in request, and that's about it. And then after all that, that'll probably take anywhere from like 2 to 3 streams, maybe? It's not going to take 1. We're going to need at least 2 streams for Zone Cage and everything. Maybe 2 to 3 streams, and then we'll be doing Lineage and Legacies, which is the epilogue story. I'll think about this more, but I think I decided I want to do Lineage and Legacies after Zone Cage because I want to end the playthrough with the true ending of the game. I think that'd be really cool. And also, to me, I hate having to load your game from Lineage. I don't like having to do Lineage. People recommend you do Lineage. This is always how I do it. But I don't like the concept of like, oh, Lineage and Legacies, oh, beat the game, all right, back to chapter 8 before everything. It makes more sense to end it on the chronological note. So it might make Zone Cage harder than it should be. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna warn you all right now, Zone Cage is probably one of the worst post-game dungeons ever. I will air more grievances when they do Zone Cage, definitely. I don't like that dungeon. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. And if I have to change the difficulty for Zone Cage, I will. Because my word, I don't think I'm gonna fight like the final boss of Zone Cage on Chaos. I will not do it. I'll probably switch it. So, you know. But yeah, that's all I have to say on Graces for now. Oh, I was gonna rank my gameplay characters. I think I go something like this. For gameplay, this is gameplay, not characters. Like, actual character rankings, I'm gonna wait for the F arc. But this is my gameplay rankings. Malik's my easy number 6. Malik is number 6. We'll probably go, I'm trying to think. Sherry and Pascal are 4 and 5. I don't know which one's which. I'll probably put Sherry at 5. Pascal at 4. Sophie at 3, Asbel 2, Hubert 1. Yeah. Yeah, Malik is my least favorite to play as. Then Sherry is 5, Pascal's 4th, Sophie's 3rd, Asbel 2nd, Hubert's 1st. I really love playing as Hubert. That's probably a good enough gameplay ranking. And Richard, we played as Richard. Richard would probably go above Sophie or under Sophie? Sophie's number 3 now, right? So Richard would either be 4th or 3rd. Around Sophie, because we did play as Richard, so I can count Richard. No, I'd probably put Sophie above Richard. So Richard would be 4th. And then Pascal would be 5th, and Sherry would be 6th, and then Malik would be 7th. Yeah, I think I'd do something like that. Honestly, Sophie and Richard are probably interchangeable. But anyway, I'm going to load the game. We are going to, I want to level up shops. And I also want to get started on the skit that opens up Zone Cage. But I don't want to go to Lot Manor because that's where it procs. So we're just going to do a little bit here.